The Haudenosaunee Confederacy is one of the oldest and most historic Indigenous groups across Canada.
The group is made up of the Mohawks, Oneidas, Onondagas, Cayugas, and the Senecas, and spans from modern-day southern Ontario to northern New York. The group is called the Iroquois by the French, but the Confederacy is properly called the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, meaning people of the Longhouse. Each nation maintains its own council with chiefs chosen by the clan mother and deals with its own internal affairs, but allows the chiefs to deal with issues affecting the nation within the Confederacy.
The history of lacrosse can be dated several hundred years ago when the indigenous from North America played the game.
The Haudenosaunee people called the game the Creator's Game because they believed that the game was gifted to them by a creator in order to encourage good health and strong bond among individuals. The games would last several days, involving several hundred players who played on a large field. It was not only a sport, however, the game was used as a method of training warriors, encouraging team spirit among players, solving disputes among various factions, and performing religious ceremonies.
The Haudenosaunee lacrosse team has always wanted to compete in the World Championships under their own flag.
They wanted to represent the Haudenosaunee Confederacy instead of playing under Canada or the United States. It was actually the Haudenosaunee people that created lacrosse. Many people believe that they should represent their own nation in the World Championships. Their fight is about culture, identity, and representation. Many players have brought this movement to attention over the years. After years of fighting, the Haudenosaunee Nationals got their own lacrosse team in 1983. And so far, they have not disappointed as they continue to compete in the World Lacrosse Championships.
The Haudenosaunee people are campaigning to be included in the 2028 Summer Olympics using their own flag.
The team, known as the Haudenosaunee Nationals, has been participating in international games as a sovereign country for quite some time now. Nonetheless, the International Olympic Committee seldom participates in sports events unless there are official Olympic committees from those countries. In any case, Haudenosaunee Confederacy is attempting to set a new trend in the Olympic Games as they have done previously in other events.
Lyle Thompson is considered one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time. He was born in the Onondaga Nation, owned by the Haudenosaunee people.
He was born on September 9th, 1992, and is from the Hawk Clan. Lyle Thompson was the number one pick in the Major Lacrosse League and the Nation Lacrosse League drafts. He also plays for the Haudenosaunee National Lacrosse Team and has won 3 bronze medals with them in 2014, 2018, and most recently in 2023. Many Indigenous youth look up to Lyle Thompson because of his success, his leadership, and pride in his culture. Thompson inspires young players to stay connected to lacrosse and their Indigenous roots. By representing the Haudenosaunee people at the highest level of lacrosse, he shows youth that they can follow their dreams while still showing their culture and identity.
Lyle Thompson serves as a role model for Indigenous lacrosse players all across North America.
His commitment and dedication helped him become one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time. Thompson always demonstrates respect for his culture when playing a sport. I'm well aware of that. I think it's a pretty safe assumption that I would like to serve as a role model for upcoming Indigenous lacrosse players, Lyle Thompson says. He is fully aware that the younger generation respects and looks up to him. Thus, he tries to be an exemplary player. Lyle has done things to help Indigenous youth from his area, like going back and coaching, being a mentor, and speaking out about Indigenous racial issues.
Lyle and his siblings all recognize that the people that play lacrosse are very privileged.
That is why Lyle, Jeremy, Miles, and Hania all work together to start the For the Future Foundation, which creates programs for Indigenous kids to get training and some free equipment. The goal of creating these camps was not to be a money grab, but it was to help kids in need who couldn't afford the top equipment and expensive training. It is very important in the lacrosse community to keep the game growing. And by making this happen for the less fortunate, the game is going to keep growing throughout generations in the Haudenosaunee and other Indigenous communities.
Men wearing the long braid is a traditional symbol of Indigenous culture, wisdom, and respect to their ancestors.
As of 2019, there was 29 players in the NLL who have Indigenous backgrounds and roots. In a game in Philadelphia, Lyle was harassed by fans and the announcer regarding the long braid he wears while he plays. Lyle was not afraid to stand up for his culture and roots and decided to do something to strike back against the blatant racism. He designed special shirts with the message "Back the Braid" for a game later in the season. Both teams wore them for warm-up, and some fans were also given them. Lacrosse is known as a medicine game for the Thompson family and other members of the Onondaga Nation, so it was really important to spread information about their heritage and to stop the harassment. Capture your journey of learning in the course, before and after course materials. Before I ever stepped in this class and covered the first bit of course material, I thought I wouldn't like it. I thought learning about Indigenous peoples for my 11U credit was dumb and pointless. The first thing that really interested me in the history of Indigenous peoples in Canada was the Indian Act. All of the restrictions that Indigenous people battled historically that still last till today. After learning about it, helped really give it purpose and helped me enjoy learning history from all different perspectives.
Before taking this course, I'd only known a little bit about Indigenous history and culture, but I did not fully understand the experiences and challenges that Indigenous communities had faced. Throughout the course, I learned about topics like residential schools, Indigenous rights, media representation, and cultural traditions. After learning about all those, my perspective had changed because I realized how important it is to listen to Indigenous voices and understand their history more deeply.
So before this course, I did not know much about Indigenous poems, short stories, and documentaries. But now I understand they are used to share important teachings about identity, culture, land, and history. I learned how to analyze these texts by looking at themes, symbolism, and deeper meanings. This helped me have a better understanding of respect, Indigenous perspectives, and the importance of storytelling and passing down knowledge and traditions.
What part of the course was most memorable to you?
The part of this course I found most memorable was the first unit, which included a lot of history and terminology. I've always liked history growing up, so I'm not surprised that I liked it as much as I did. History over the past few years of high school has been mostly focused on the World Wars and the 1900s, which is interesting, but it's a nice change of pace to learn about the history of the country I call home. People often say that history is always told from the winner's perspective, and I think that this course does a good job of avoiding that and telling it from multiple perspectives.
One memorable part from this course was learning about Indigenous history through documentaries, short stories, and class discussions. Topics like residential schools, Indigenous rights, and cultural traditions helped me to understand. I enjoyed the book club unit and becoming more knowledgeable. This course was memorable because it changed the way I think and helped me to understand the importance of listening to Indigenous voices and learning from their experiences so nobody would have to go through them again.
So the most memorable part of this course was Indigenous poems and short stories because they were powerful and meaningful to me, often connecting to nature, family, and tradition. I also enjoyed the short story essay because it showed real experiences and made the stories real and engaging towards lives. Class discussions were also important because they helped me understand different viewpoints and meanings, and it was one of my favorite parts.
What advice would you give to future students of this class?
A piece of advice that I would give future students of this course is to keep an open mind. You're never going to learn more about a topic if you're not interested in it. Like I said before, I didn't think I would enjoy this course at all before I even got to it. But instead of coming in with a closed mind, I came in every day and tried to be interested in what was being taught. This mindset made everything easier for me when it came to things like studying, coming up with ideas for essays, and participating in roundtable discussions.
I would tell future students to keep an open mind and really pay attention to the stories and materials shared throughout the course, especially in the short story unit, as the stories will come back up and be used in future work and projects. Try to participate in class discussions as it is a factor in your grade, and think deeply about course topics as they can change the way you see Canadian history and Indigenous communities.
My advice for future students would be is to stay focused and respectful when learning about Indigenous poems, short stories, and other texts, and just in general, the whole English course. I would say take your time to understand the messages and participate in discussions to learn from others. Also, be open-minded because these stories teach important lessons about respect, identity, and culture.